Hello and good evening everyone, and welcome live on the World Racing Network to tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing Grand National Series, sponsored by Schue's Lawn Service. It is championship night here for the Schue's Lawn Service Grand National Series, and tonight's race, the Fatal Concepts 150 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, will crown the 2023 TNR champion. Garrett Gleason, we talk about this all season long, drivers building up those points, racing hard for the championship, and well, tonight is the night where one driver will go down as the 2023 series champion.
Yeah, I can't wait, Mitchell. I've been looking forward to this all season long. As sad as it is to see a season end, we get to crown our champion tonight and look forward to the next season. We have two guys at the front of the pack. We have Ninja Phil and Grandpa Bill, Philip Scott versus Bill Edwards. And I can't wait to see how this battle unfolds tonight here at Las Vegas, of all places. I know these guys have been putting their practice laps in, and this is going to be a wire-to-wire type of finish.
Yeah, you can see in the point standings here, we have for you Philip Scott comes into tonight with a 9-point lead over Bill Edwards. And these two drivers, one of them is going to walk out of Las Vegas a champion of the series. Neither of them have won that title before, Garrett. So you know tonight that's a little bit of an extra motivator to want to be a TNR champion, because that's something that sticks with you through all the seasons to come. You can always, no matter how bad a race you have, call yourself a TNR champion. And that is something every race car driver would like to do. So a lot at stake here tonight for these two drivers. And here is one of those two, the 5 of Bill Edwards. He currently in practice sits 7th fastest on the speed chart. His championship competitor, Philip Scott, sits 2nd as Bill gets very loose there off the nose of Tristan Maher. That's what not to do when we go green. But that does bring me to a point, Garrett. Watching drivers take times in practice here, I've noticed this track seems very loose here at Las Vegas.
Yeah, I heard some rumblings about the track conditions, Mitchell, loose, and these guys, especially, you're trying to dial their vehicles in for a long run. So I think once the tire pressures build up, I think these guys will be able to find the grip out there, use multiple lines, and put on a tremendous type of race. And just to go back to the point you made about the champions, I'm TNR owner, but I am not a TNR champion. I would love nothing more, and I know, like Floppy, the same thing. He would love to be the champion this season. And Philip, from meeting him in an open server race at Watkins Glen to becoming friends with Bill over at NSRA, these guys would make incredible league champions, enjoying a very, from my point of view, historic list, including that man there, Jason Gracias, who I believe is a 3-time TNR champion, unless I'm forgetting one from way back when.
Yeah, and both of Bill Edwards and Philip Scott, they're both great race car drivers, very talented, but they're just as fun to be around off the track. They're two great guys who care a lot about TNR and a lot about the racing we do and have a lot of fun doing it. And either way, you're going to have a deserving champion at the end of tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys have put the time in, Mitchell. They show up every week. They've had some good runs, some memorable runs, and I mean, I honestly, and we joke about me busting on Bill, but like, Bill's an asset to this league, and I can't root against either of these guys. I kind of sort of hope it somehow ends up in a tie and we could just figure it out. But these guys are competitors, race car drivers. They don't want to finish second. They don't want to tie. They want to win this thing fair and square. And I expect that to start here in qualifying, Mitchell. These guys are going to put the best lap they can, start up front, and they don't want to get passed by a single car all night, because if you lead this race the whole way, you win the championship if you're either one of them. So that's the way I like to think about it, because the points are that close.
Yeah, you are exactly right about that. This is Bill Edwards in the Fatal Concepts number 5 machine. He starts his qualifying run, as does Philip Scott. We're going to focus in a lot on these two here tonight, talking about them and their championship run. Let's go ahead and take a lap just right on board with Philip Scott. Garrett, take us through what you see here with Philip's lap.
Well, I'm watching him up off the bottom here, Mitchell. He's trying to get that momentum. I think use this track. We'll see if he cuts the tri-oval here a little bit. Is this his first lap or second lap? I'm just guessing that was probably his warm-up lap, and now we're going to see if he gets any lower. A little bit off the bottom, but he's getting there, Mitchell. And get that apex right and carry as much momentum as he can down the backstretch, and you hope for the best. I mean, I'm not much of a qualifier myself. I'm sure your WRN lap guides would have been helpful, but as we see here on the second lap, he's keeping it much lower on the racetrack, and I fully expect him to cut this tri-oval as he tries to put in a hot lap here.
Yep, lap number 2 for Philip Scott right here, going to come in 4th fastest on the charts, now 5th. That's a 30.144 for Philip Scott. Bill Edwards sneaks a lap in a little bit quicker than Philip. That goes to 5th fastest now on the chart for Bill. Jason Gracias currently sits up at the top of the qualifying speed charts. Everybody kind of winding it down from their laps. You see everybody pulling off. Got to find someone who's still out there trying to take some time. Here's the 47 of Mike Floppy Tellier. And Garrett, you talked about him. Mike's a guy, started off the season very hot, won 3 races very early on in the season. And he's been very consistent all throughout the season. Then we just hit the playoffs, and he's had quite a bit of trouble just putting together the finishes, been involved in some things, not necessarily of his own doing, but he sits 8th in points, well out of the championship, just not the postseason Floppy would have wanted, and that's been the case for a lot of drivers too, just not quite the postseason they wanted or expected, frankly.
Yeah, that's the championship issue there, especially with these new chase formats and playoff formats. Guys like Mike that had a fantastic regular season felt like they didn't get to carry that momentum here into the postseason. And if there was a regular season award, I believe Mike was our regular season, or was Bill? It might have been Bill.
It was JD.
Oh, JD. I'm just completely wrong. I'm just making things up here on broadcast. But maybe Mike with the traditional point system would have been able to make a bigger impact and be closer to this championship than he currently is. But you know how you end the season with the win and you get that momentum going into the next season. And Mike is a dangerous driver when he has that momentum. Here as we look at, I believe that's DJ Weeks.
Yeah, that is the 97 of DJ Weeks, still running that throwback scheme from Darlington 3 weeks ago. Good look for DJ Weeks. This is another playoff driver, just didn't quite have the run he would have liked. Still sits 5th in the playoff points though, 80 points behind Philip Scott, your points leader. Worth noting, the driver in 3rd in playoff points, JD Laird, not here tonight. So that does bring it down to a 2-car show between Philip Scott and Bill Edwards, although those two had broken far enough away. I don't think they were going to be challenged by that 46, but still, that takes a lot of attention onto them. But like you were kind of alluding to, there's still quite a few other drivers in this field tonight that are not Philip Scott or Bill Edwards who still want to win this race just as much, if not more, than those two to go out on this season with a good note and build momentum into next season. And again, we do have that bridesmaid challenge in effect, $5 to the highest finishing non-playoff driver in the field. And if that driver wins the race as well, they will pick up an additional $5 bonus. Last week, I believe it was James Lorello, too, who picked that up.
We should call that the Chuck Sweeting Award, the way he's been taking that home every week. Maybe one of these other guys could contend. I mean, we've been calling it the Bridesmaid Challenge, but he's just been winning. Mitchell, it's an incredible debut into this league, and it's somebody I hope stays around for a long time.
Yeah, Chuck Sweeting certainly, once he came in, started running up front, very consistently put together a bunch of great finishes. And yes, like you said, if he comes back next season, that is definitely a championship contender we'll have to keep our eye on. Time to take you through the starting order for tonight's Fatal Concepts 150 at Las Vegas. Jason Grossi is going to get on pole for the final the final race of the season. He rolls off in first. Tristan Thuggy Maher starts in second. The number 90 of Johnny Eckert rolls off in third. Then it is the 75 of Sweeting in fourth. Bill Edwards and Philip Scott. How much better could you ask for it to be, Garrett? These two are going to start side by side in row number 3 and duel it out for the championship. Starting in the 7th position, the 97 of DJ Weeks. Then it's Jamar Dumas to his outside. Vincent Valvano and Stephen Morgan round out the top 10. Then Mike Floppy Tellier in 11th. the final car to take a qualifying time. New look Steven Doziak here in the TNR SimShot scheme. That's a nice looking car for Doze. He rolls off in 12th. Bob Giaquinto rolls off in the 13th position. Johnny Williams in 14th, and then we'll see if anyone else gets gridded up behind them. It should be John Cannizzaro. He is not yet on the grid. Also Robert Tripp showing up there. There's a little bug in my scoring, so I'm a little confused with what's going on here at the back of the field, but looks like Johnny Williams going to be the last car to round out a 14-car field here tonight at Las Vegas, as Jason Gracias going to roll off from the grid. First stage tonight, 25 laps, then we get the caution, drivers throw tires on, and we're going to race it out to the end. But Garrett, I go back to this again. You could not script it better than Jason Gracias, or excuse me, than Philip Scott and Bill Edwards starting side by side to begin this race.
That's amazing. It's like the script that everybody talked about for the Super Bowl. Everybody thinks they know how things are going to play out before they actually happen. Well, if we could script it, I think we will put these guys in the front row battling into turn one, but this is still pretty neat. They are going to be so sick of each other by the end of this race. I mean, they're friends. They like each other. They race together all the time, but man, Bill Edwards, Philip Scott, Bill Edwards, Philip Scott. These people on the broadcast are going to be sick of hearing those names, but these guys deserve all the credit, all the camera time they get, and I can't wait to see this battle start right here in turn one.
Oh, my mic was muted there. I don't know when that happened, but I was saying this isn't like NASCAR, Garrett, where the highest finishing driver is going to win the championship. We still points race here, so Bill has to make up 9 points, and that is going to be making these stage points here very important for Bill Edwards if he wants a shot at this one. Green flag is in the air, and Jason Gracias got a massive jump down into turn one. I apologize again for my microphone being off there. Got a little off at the start, but we are green flag racing. The 90 of Johnny Eckert moved up into the second position around Tristan Thuggy Maher into 3 and 4. Bill Edwards out in front of Philip Scott, who is already working the high line. Jason down the pits. Did he have a penalty here, Garrett?
Not that I'm aware of, Mitchell, but we have, who's that behind him? Floppy coming through, so there must be a penalty from last week, unless, I don't think this is some sort of strategy on lap one. So that might be because of an incident last week. But I should know as the league administrator, but Mike's been doing such a great job handling things on the track. Those guys making the pit stop, and if they rolled through, I think we have our answer.
Yep, that does look to be the case, although the 47 is in his pit stall. That is an interesting one, but Jason Gracias is back out rolling on the track, so who knows quite what's going on there. You would think we would, but I didn't see anything about it. I don't think you did either. We continue green flag racing here. Bill Edwards now up to third, just past the 75 of Chuck Sweeting. Edwards fired off very well here at the start of this race, got out in front of Philip Scott, now puts a car in between them. And again, Garrett, that is more stage points over Philip Scott. If you're Bill Edwards, you need to really hope you can get up toward the lead, or you got to hope Philip Scott struggles here on the long run and falls back. But Philip doing what he's been doing here of recently, trying to work in that outside lane. He's consistently been the first driver to move up there and try and get it going. We saw it work very well for him at the 1.5 miles of Texas to start the playoffs, and already Philip going back to the wall trying to do that same thing here.
Philip put in a lot of practice this week, Mitchell. He told me something about 200 laps of practice getting ready for this race, and he's going to know how this track handles every lane, every condition, and be able to figure this out. Right now, he's hunting that rabbit out there, keeping Bill in his windshield and just not letting him get too far out of front. But it looks like Bill's making another pass. So, like you said, these stage points are going to add up. Bill's going to see what he gets at on the stage break, and then he's going to be able to do the math in his head and know how many positions he needs to beat Philip by. But Bill's doing exactly what he needs to do, and I think the key for Philip is to not put himself in any bad situations and beat himself, because even if Bill gets all the stage points and Philip gets none, that's only 8 points. Philip is still good if he finishes in front of Bill, so Philip just has to be conservative here, and Bill's doing everything by being aggressive that he needs to.
Yeah, this is exactly the strategy you would expect from both these drivers here. Bill Edwards drives from 5th now to 2nd, up 3 positions since the start of this race. Philip staying a little bit more calmly, up 1 from where he started, running in 5th place right now. But you're exactly right. If you're Philip Scott, you can't get panicked when you see Bill Edwards running up through the field like this. You've got to remember to just race your own race. You don't want to push that car too hard, especially when the track seems to be very loose. You don't want to spin yourself around trying to push more than the tires want to do, put yourself in a more difficult situation. And again, he does have that points buffer to work with. That's something that is very nice to have if you're the driver fortunate enough to be in that position. I know 9 points, definitely not a lot, but right now, despite Bill being 3 positions ahead, Philip Scott's still the points leader as they run, I do believe. So he's just got to keep doing what he's doing right now, and you've got to make Bill go up there and win this one the hard way.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself, Mitchell. Just point after point, you're absolutely right, and we're going to keep talking about it. Bill needs to be aggressive, get as many positions as he can, and work his way towards the front, and Philip just needs to kind of keep a buffer zone. But I think ideally, from what I was thinking, Philip would want to be further up in the running order. I think Philip thinks this is a race he can win, so seeing him struggle a little bit initially is a bit weird, unless he's just trying to get to that stage break and see what happens.
This you're seeing on your screen, the battle for the 7th position. DJ Weeks just took it away from the 64 of Vincent Valvano, the Talking Giants machine. Steven Doziak also right there in the 55. Once again, Steven Doziak providing us with the onboard camera. We love having this view here with Steven Doziak. Get to watch him race around this 1.5 miles of Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
That does. He always comes through when we need him to, riding on board, run the TNR paint scheme. He's one of the best dudes I've met since, and he's a local boy since we started doing this thing, and to know Doze and see his progression as a racer has been absolutely fantastic. And he has one thing on me that I'll never be able to top. He has actually dated somebody famous, and I don't want to have everybody look her up, but her name's Tiff Bannister if anybody wants to.
Not to throw him out there, but we'll throw it out there. No, again, big thank you to Steven Doziak. Like you said, been very consistent. Anytime I want an onboard camera, I just message Steven Doziak, and he just jumps right in and gets it to us. So a big thank you to him and all that support all season long. And that driver camera you saw too, brought to you by Radcliffe Reviews for the last 2 races of the season. You can check him out on Instagram at Radcliffe Reviews for all your automotive related updates. Pretty nice little page, go check him out. Johnny Eckert, your race leader. Johnny's another driver, just hasn't had the playoffs he wanted, and really hasn't had the playoffs he would have expected. Had some issues that have really knocked him out of points contention. Had a good win at Darlington, but still just hadn't quite gone his way. Wrecked at Texas and then was not in the field last week at Bristol. Pretty much did him in there. But still, Johnny Eckert came into the series mid-season, got into the playoffs, and was a contender all season long, and he's got 4 wins to his name. So this season, even though he's not going to walk out of here the champion, if he comes back next season, again, another driver you would expect to be right up there in contention.
What a tremendous talent, Mitchell. Johnny's been tremendous to see on track. I think he's making the guys around him better. He's challenging guys like J.D. Laird, Jason Gracias, and everybody else up at the front of the pack. Chuck Sweeting now, too, who's been up towards the front. But that whole Outlaw Racing team, Johnny, Jake, DJ, they're all fantastic guys, and I loved having them. And like you said, not the playoffs that any of those guys were looking for, but Johnny's off to a good start here tonight at Las Vegas. He might be able to add to that league win total that he's been pretty much adding to every other week, if not every week.
Yeah, so far seems to have the dominant pace in this one. He's a half a second out in front of Bill Edwards, who you see running in second. But Bill has Tristan Maher and Chuck Sweeting close in tail with him, a little gap back to Philip Scott running in fifth. These top 5 drivers have broken out 3 seconds over the 97 of Jake Bustos you see running back in the 6th position. So right now, the top 5, the drivers with the speed, all who could go win this race too. All these drivers have been in contention. And you look, again, Johnny Eckert, 4 wins this season. Bill Edwards hasn't won this season. That's really a big surprise. He would love to do that here tonight, but he's been in contention several times, lost a couple heartbreakers. Tristan Maher, again, Chuck Sweeting, Philip Scott, these are all drivers who know how to win in TNR. And no surprise to see them running up here in the top 5. But again, most of these drivers here know how to win in TNR.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are all proven winners. They're champions. Some of them in other leagues. They're just a really fantastic talent in TNR. And I never could imagine all these talented drivers. I mean, look at these guys towards the back putting on a show. Some of my buddies that I race with when I'm actually out on track, who are all better than me now, and I should just stay in the booth full time. Look at those, gripping that wheel tight, making these passes on the high side. When I first started racing with those, he would have had his right front tire smoked by now, and he wouldn't be able to make these type of passes and have this much fun. But you can see the concentration in his eyes. He is not trying to make a mistake. He's looking ahead, looking behind, looking to his left. That's just being a racer, Mitchell. And I love this camera shot that you and Will are providing here for us.
Yeah, side by side with the 64 of Vinny Valvano, the Talking Giants machine. Bob Giaquinto right there in the tabletop trio machine. Then Jamar with Stay Tuned Sports. You got a lot of series sponsors or sponsors that have put their name on a race this season, like Talking Giants, all clustered up into one bunch here, battling for the 7th position. Then right behind them as well, you've got Johnny Williams running pretty close in tow here. Johnny putting together a good one here tonight as well. Jason Gracias, the update on him. He is on track 13th right now, not yet 1 lap down. He is the fastest car on the racetrack running in 13th, but he's going to need that stage caution in 5 laps. And speaking of the stage caution, Bill Edwards now, we missed it while we were watching that other battle, but he is now dropped back to the 4th position and under fire from Philip Scott. Philip probably going to have the momentum here on the top side to challenge for that position. Looking like Bill might have just pushed it a little too hard early, now starting to slide back, but he's got a fight here to hold back that 99.
Here's that battle we've been talking about. Keep an eye on these guys. And I noticed the 5 of Bill Edwards was coming back towards the 99 of Philip Scott. And I think, like you said, Philip's going to be able to pull this pass off with that momentum from the high side here before the stage break. And if you're Philip and you're able to accomplish that, that's one less thing you have to worry about. There's no more stage breaks. You don't have to worry about Bill getting any points. And I'm sure the Windsors are in the chat cheering Bill on, hoping he can hold off Philip and at least get himself 1 point closer to this championship. So we got, 3+ laps to go here, and these guys could not be any closer on the track. But Bill, to his credit, Mitchell, Bill is doing a great job holding Philip off, because I thought a lap and a half ago that Philip had this pass pretty much made.
Yeah, but right now, Bill doing a great job keeping the pace up, not making it easy for Philip to get by him. The Windsors are, in fact, in chat, and they say, payback tonight, Bill. I had completely forgotten to mention as well that finished last week at Bristol when Philip Scott put the bumper to Bill Edwards, turned him around for the 3rd position. Bill still finished in 4th, but that was a controversial finish last week between these two, and I'm sure I had forgotten about it, but Bill Edwards definitely is not behind the wheel of that Fatal Concepts machine.
Bill took it well last week from what I heard in the chat. Like, I think these guys have respect for each other, but you do remember that. So if there's a chance tonight, I think, coming to the checker flag for Bill to make a move on Philip or pay him back, I think he will. I think that as a racer, that sometimes you're owed one, and it's nothing against you person to person. It's just racer to racer. And racers don't forget. Jimmy Spencer never forgot, was always the saying. Well, it's pretty much every guy in this field that they know when they owe you one, and they will be quick to remind you when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, race car drivers don't typically have short memories. Again, though, Bill, not the kind of guy who's going to do anything crazy and wild. I think he's going to race Philip clean here. I think he wants a clean championship race. So does Philip. But it is something you bear in the back of your mind that, oh, this guy rubbed me the wrong way. But then again, Garrett, I could list off a ton of guys who did something to me at some point when I was driving. So at some point, you just kind of get used to that and dealing with that. Stage break. Caution out in the air. Johnny Eckert picks up the stage win here tonight. Tristan Maher, second place. Chuck Sweeting, third place. And then Bill Edwards, very critical, stayed in front of Philip Scott. Bill finishes fourth. Philip in fifth. Also DJ Weeks in the 97. Bob Giaquinto, tabletop trio machine, and Vinny Valvano in eighth. The drivers who will pick up stage points here tonight under this caution. And now everybody is going to come get tires. And okay, if you're Bill Edwards, Garrett, you're sitting here thinking, okay, I just picked up a point on Philip. That's nice, but now I got to go drive away from him here in these last 75 laps.
Yeah, that's your first. You've got your first stage out of the way. You did what you needed to do. I'm sure Bill would have liked to gain a couple more points, but the thing is, he didn't lose any points. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's a win. Now, you saw that Bill seemed to have some short run speed. I think either he's going to have to make a couple corrections, maybe with his line, his driving style, whatnot, or he's going to have to hope that maybe there's some yellows, and this is a short run type race, or at least a short run to the finish. Philip, on the other hand, might want this thing to go green. Looks like he's practiced for green flag runs. And the first step here, Mitchell, is to not miss your pit box, lose any track position, and be able to figure that sort of thing out. And it looks like we have a Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award winner, and it is Mike Floppy Tellier.
Yep, Tellier gonna pick up the Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award here under our stage caution and get himself one lap back. Now only 3 laps down after again pitting there on the first lap. Big thank you to Tabletop Trio for sponsoring the Lucky Dog Award all season long. Make sure to go check them out on Twitch. Go give them a follow. I know they just did a little bit of a review on that Hot Sauce Festival we had sponsoring a race a couple weeks ago. So if you're interested in that or anything else you can do on top of a table, make sure to go check out Tabletop Trio. The Windsors out in the chat saying that mothers remember too. It's not just race car drivers who remember who does them wrong.
Yeah, Mother's Day, I believe this upcoming week, so don't forget your moms out there, everyone. And just wanted to thank Tabletop Trio. I thanked a lot of people in the server, and I think I forgot to thank Bob and the guys over at Tabletop Trio. They are a fantastic sponsor. And you know why we're under yellow, Mitchell? All the fantastic sponsors and partners we have, from Schue stepping up as the series sponsor, Stay Tuned Sports for everything he does for iRacing in general. You at WRN, we couldn't have done this without your help. And there's just so many people and to thank, and just I appreciate everyone, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. And I told those guys this, and including everybody in the chat, including the Windsors. They show up every week. They cheer Bill on. They make sure that we stay honest up here in the booth. And Fatal Concepts, I see the logo up there. Bill, for all he does, from paint schemes for guys and just getting everybody ready to race, being a league administrator. And Mitchell, honestly, I could go on and on thanking everyone, but just if I didn't thank you, that doesn't mean I don't appreciate you, and that's everyone. So I'm gonna keep rambling on if I don't stop now. But seriously, thank you everyone, and we're gonna keep doing this, and we're gonna keep getting better, and I hope everybody's along for the ride.
Yeah, like you said, there's so much work that goes into putting a series like this on behind the scenes that doesn't come across here on the broadcast. But you're exactly right. We could not do this without all the sponsors and the viewers who tune in every week. And it's been very fun this season. It's been a fantastic season, Garrett, and a lot of hard work goes into it. And that's what always makes these final races a little bittersweet, because we get to crown the champion, but also, man, the season's already over. It feels like it's flown by on us.
It certainly has flown by, and since this rebirth of TNR, it seems like they've all flown by. But I take these type of seasons and the the work behind the scenes than the 10, 15 years we all didn't race together at TNR. Those years certainly drug on a lot more, and we didn't have as much fun. We didn't have that friendship and stuff, and that's what makes it all worth it. Sponsorships are great. Nice trophy that these guys are gonna get from Jeff Wyatt is great, but being able to show up every Monday with your friends, and some of these guys I consider even my best friends. Like Mike and I pretty much grew up together. Like Peter Short and I grew up together. Like Jason, so many guys that we just want to do this because we do it with each other, and that's something I think that's very important. And now that we have these new faces in the league, and all the way up to Chuck, who just joined a couple weeks ago, we want to keep doing this with each other every week. So even if the field sizes aren't there, Mitchell, we still have that fun racing with each other. And I think at its purest form, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, TNR really, it's a community of drivers here, and they put on fantastic racing that we are fortunate enough to watch every single Monday night here on the World Racing Network. It is about time to go back green flag racing, putting ourselves back into the race. The 90 of Johnny Eckert going to take the outside lane here, starting from the front row alongside Tristan Thuggy Maher. Second row, Chuck Sweeting and Bill Edwards. Third row, Philip Scott and DJ Weeks. The 90 of Johnny Eckert gonna lead us to the green flag here. Hits the restart zone and gets on the gas. Green flag is in the air. A great start for Eckert out in front. Now here's the battle we're looking at again. Philip Scott able to get around Bill Edwards on the inside lane. Bill didn't quite jump off from that second spot on the outside lane like he would have wanted, and that lets Philip get around early. Big move from Jason Gracias back there, but couldn't make anything happen of it. Now again, Bill taking the fight back to Philip Scott here for the fourth position. Bill up the inside, Philip on the outside lane. Both these drivers running where they've seemed to like to run during that first stage, and we'll see which line is able to prevail. Las Vegas, one of the better mile and a halves on iRacing. For multi-groove racing, always feels like both lanes have just about an equal shot to be good. I put this track in Kansas. iRacing has really perfected that multi-groove racing they're going for.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite places. I mean, Bristol is my favorite track. But as far as, like you said, mile and a halves, this place is so much fun. You see it there with these two guys battling. Philip seems committed to that high line as he goes in kind of middle in this corner, but Philip was committed to the high line, and Bill was working the bottom, and these guys were pretty much side by side, neck and neck. And just a couple other things. Jason Gracias, I'm curious to watch him as he comes through the field here. We said he was the fastest car on the track when he was back there in 13th, so keeping an eye on him, see if he makes some wild moves. And look at Bob G there in the 23, running up in what, top 7 or so. Bob, tremendous run, and it's nice to see him on track. He's done a lot for us from a broadcasting perspective, and now as a league administrator, his input is very valuable. And I just like seeing him out there having fun and having some speed and mixing it up, because it's a little less fun when you're at the back of the pack not passing anybody, but when you're up here with guys like Jason Gracias that you know are talented, it makes a world of difference as far as your morale goes.
Bob's another driver who's improved a lot throughout this season. He's been toward the top of the playoff points and the regular season points for most of the season, been very consistent. And it seems like more and more he's getting up here and running around the top 5 inside the top 10. So another good run here tonight for Bob Giaquinto. This is the lap down 47 of Mike Floppy Tellier. He is 3 laps down at the moment, looking for a couple more of those Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Awards. Battle for the race lead, Tristan Maher taking the fight to Chuck Sweeting. The 90 of Johnny Eckert has slipped back to 3rd. I'm going to take a look on the replay. I wonder if something didn't happen to Eckert to take him out of that race lead, because he lost a lot of position pretty quickly here to these two drivers. No, it doesn't look like it. Just kind of ran him down and made the pass, and now they've pulled away quite a bit. Going back live, the 17 gets in front of Chuck Sweeting. So new race leader is Tristan Maher, but you can see Sweeting right on the back bumper, not going to let him run away with this one.
No, absolutely. Tristan's one of those. I call Tristan almost deceptively fast at times because he doesn't always jump off the page at you with practice times and this and that. But he's someone that when it comes down to the end of the race, he's always in contention. And we've learned that about the 75 of Chuck Sweeting that he seems to be always fast. And so there's a little bit of difference as far as perception goes here. But two guys that I certainly could see winning this race, and they're putting on a tremendous battle. You see Chuck seems to think he has a little bit better car here than the 17 of Maher. But Johnny Eckert losing a couple positions too is a little bit shocking because he was so dominant there in that first stage. But that's why we do the stage break, and that's why we do longer races here, Mitchell, because it lets these guys kind of come to life and some guys fade because, again, that's what, the element of racing that we all enjoy.
Yeah, the 90 is dropping very quickly here, too. He's now 2.5 behind Maher and Sweeting. But he's keeping pace with the drivers behind him, so I don't wonder if maybe Sweeting and Maher just didn't have a bunch of speed left in the tank during that first stage that they're just now letting us see. Because they've pulled away, like you said, 1.5 seconds, which is nowhere near what we saw, but Eckert, Scott, and Edwards, they're running close to the same lap times and pace they were running during that first stage. These two, I mean, you could at times barely stick a piece of paper in between them. Chuck Sweeting is right up on the bumper of Tristan Maher, trying to make him slip up, make him feel uncomfortable. Can't sit right behind him, though, too long, Garrett. You're going to heat those tires up, and then the car's not going to like that over the long run.
Yeah, that's something that he's going to keep in mind. I know Chuck is a veteran racer. He knows what he's doing out there. But heating up the tires is going to take away your ability to make that pass. So if you're able to make that pass, you want to figure out a way to do it. I don't know, Mitchell, if you were the 17 of Tristan Maher, would you be frustrated by the 75, or would you be smiling, having fun? Because I think I would be smiling, having fun, being like, okay, I got a race for this thing. It's not going to be a cakewalk. And I don't know, you could give your perspective on that.
Anytime I'm out leading a race, I'm smiling and having fun, especially when I've got a guy right behind me who may be slightly faster but just can't get around me. I think it's almost more fun when you're just able to hold a guy off and you're making him frustrated than when you're sitting back there frustrated. Or even when you've pulled out a couple seconds, you're like, man, this isn't super fun. Because we like to race and we don't like to always run out with massive leads. And I think Tristan, if I were him, I'd be having fun racing here with Chuck Sweeting because this is great racing between these two. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want to do. But again, you are feeling a little bit pressured by that 75 sitting right behind you. But I think Tristan definitely enjoys being out in the race lead right now.
Wow, what a battle, though, Mitchell. I was seeing if Chuck was going to be able to get to his recorder there, and he wasn't able to. But as we look back here at the third place battle, it looks like Philip Scott has caught the 90 of Johnny Eckert. And again, using that high lane, let's see if he has the momentum here to clear him and make the pass. So it doesn't have to be as easy. Might be able to pull this off in turns 1 and 2. But there's his friend Bill Edwards, Ninja Phil, Grandpa Bill, not letting each other get out of each other's sights as this race continues to go on. We've got guys looking at 3 different groups there trying to get some fresh air on the nose and get some grip. But Philip going to make that pass. We'll see if Bill falls him through or if he doesn't want to help his adversary and just stays with that 90. Maybe make it a little harder on Philip using up his stuff.
Bill there out of the corner. He didn't go all the way up to the wall. He sat behind the 90 of Johnny Eckert, tried to draft off him. That still Philip gets on around by now. Bill gonna have to try and do that as well on the outside lane, which seems to have had a little more pace here as the runs go on. Early on, it seems to be that inside lane that has the advantage. Johnny Eckert there, though, gonna block the inside, open up the outside to Bill Edwards. Bill's gonna take it. We'll see if he can make the pass this time. Doesn't look like it. And this is exactly what Philip Scott wants. He wants Bill to get stuck behind him, stuck behind Johnny Eckert, so he can go run out a little bit of a gap. Because again, if you're Bill Edwards, you can't just finish in front of Philip. You've got to finish a couple places ahead of Philip if you want to walk out if you're the champion. So I think Bill might have caught the wall maybe.
Yep. Check it out. I believe Bill did catch the wall, and I don't want to interrupt you, but it seemed like he got way high there and probably hit the wall and lost some speed. So we'll take a look on our World Racing Network replay here.
He actually got it on corner entry. That's very uncharacteristic here, but Bill Edwards just trying to arc it into that corner as much as possible. And he caught the wall, and all of a sudden, Bill Edwards put himself into a more difficult position. We talk about trying to not put yourself in a more difficult race than you need to be, and you see there, Bill just a couple inches further up the track than he needed to be, but that's going to put him in a little bit of a hole here. Has a little bit of aero damage. Still in 5th, but the gap now 4 seconds up to your race leader, 3 up to Philip Scott.
Bill might be looking for a yellow to get that damage fixed. If not, he's going to have to do what they do in Vegas and gamble on some tire strategy or some different getting out of order strategy than the 99 of Philip Scott, because that's definitely going to hurt him aero wise. And just that's what happens, Mitchell. You're out there trying to get everything you have, trying to get every inch of racetrack, use that momentum of that high lane, and you just missed it on entry there. So Philip Scott, you can't rest now and think, okay, now Bill's nowhere to be found. I'm going to just mail it in. I mean, a lot of things can happen in these last 52 laps or so.
Yeah, we are just now coming toward the halfway point of this race. A lot of racing left to go. And the good news for Bill Edwards fans is his lap time is still around where Philip Scott is. And I think that's the important thing. We'll keep watching it as this run goes on, but these last couple laps, he's been running on pace with these other top 5 drivers. So that could be a little bit of a crisis avoided there for Bill Edwards. In fact, that last 2 laps, he's been faster than Philip Scott. So the pace is there, it's just the track position he lost. And that's where you said he needs a caution to get back up here. Obviously would like to repair some of that scraped up right side you see there, but in terms of the pace, he still seems to have it. In fact, the last lap he was faster than the race leaders. So Bill's still doing fine. He just needs to get some of that track position back, and look who's right behind him, Jason Gracias.
Yeah, there's Gracias making the charge through the field. We think he has something for these race leaders. If strategy and maybe a timely yellow can play out for him, get some of that track position, but it hasn't been. It's been a methodical run up through the field. I think the track position game kind of bit him a little bit, but that number 1 and number 5 are still showing speed. So odds are against there being a lot of yellows. I think we could just say that from a broadcasting perspective. The field size isn't huge. These guys aren't bound to make mistakes out there, but you do see yellows when guys are racing hard. I think that's what we see throughout the field. So if you're a Bill Edwards fan, you might get your yellow. If you're a Jason Gracias fan, you need the yellow for track position. It could happen, but also we got to think about pit strategy. Will one of these guys gamble on 2 tires? Will they gamble on, short pitting, long pitting? Who knows, Mitchell? That's what we're all in for. We're kind of fans in that way because we don't know what these guys are going to do.
And I've been surprised at the pit strategies we've seen, and more often than not, there's been a pit strategy I wouldn't have thought would have worked, and that went on to be the reason somebody won the race this season. So you're exactly right, and again, there is a lot of time left in this race, but right now, point to Philip Scott. As they run right now, Philip would walk out if you're the champion, but a lot can happen, and you saw just how slight that mistake was from Bill Edwards. Philip Scott, you have to stay on your game. You can't slip up like that yourself and then be right back with Bill again, as Bill coming under fire from the 1 of Jason Gracias. Gracias up the inside, Bill working the outside lane. Bill continues to run lap times on pace with the race leaders, but running side by side here, not helping him. But at this point, I really do agree he's going to need a caution. I just can't see him running up fast enough with enough tire to make anything happen without a caution. Ooh, that got a little bit tight between him and Gracias there.
Yeah, I was tired, and they both would have liked it. I know, like I said, I've raced with Jason a long time. There's no way he wanted to pinch Bill and make that. He knows Bill's racing for a championship. Jason's raced for plenty of championships. He knows that guys race you a little different when they know you're in contention. But I think Jason also thinks and knows that he's faster at this point. Although Bill's running laps as quick as the race leader, so I'm sure they're just switching off. But respect between these guys. That was a close call, but I wouldn't look into it as any sort of disrespect towards Bill. Just two veteran racers, knowing that how big their cars are and how much room they need to give each other so they don't wreck each other.
Looking through the field for any other battles, not any super heated battles. These two cars here are close. Vincent Valvano, Bob Giaquinto. See the 47 right in front of him. Mike Tellier still runs 3 laps down. He's also a driver needing some cautions to get back onto the lead lap, but that has not been the trend of TNR races this season. We've seen a lot of green flag racing, a lot of green flag runs. So if we were to get a string of cautions here, that would be a little bit uncharacteristic of these drivers who've put on clean racing all season long. Jamar Dumas running in 8th place. You've got to like to see that if you're a Dumas fan. He's in the playoffs, had some good runs, but once again, this has just been a driver struggled with having some bad luck this season. Would love to have a good clean race here to build into 2024 season for sure.
Yeah, Jamar's one of those guys that I mean, I knew him from NSRA. I didn't know him all that well, but just getting to chat with him and stuff in the driver's chat, he's a great dude. And really talented driver, and he just had some horrible luck this season, and I hope he obviously continues on with us. I have no reason to think he wouldn't, but Jamar's a guy that I could see winning some TNR races in the future. It's just a matter of getting that luck to get with his talent, because I mean, we have to admit, Mitchell, I mean, luck has a lot to do with it, especially with these green flag races. I mean, this race could go green for 75 laps, you make your pit stop at the wrong time, you get caught a lap down, you lose your chance to win the race. I mean, stuff like that happens, and that's just part of it, but eventually everything evens out, and I think guys like I'm just looking at this shot here, Jamar, Vinny, like, these guys are talented, they can win races, and I look forward to those days, Mitchell, where we have a surprise winner or somebody just finally getting that monkey off their back and that bad luck put it in the rearview mirror. But wow, I can't believe how good those guys are doing in the back of the pack racing with each other.
Yeah, some of the best battling all race long has been in the back of the pack here tonight, and they're not in the back per se, but they're just a little further behind your race leaders, and they've put on a great show all season long too. The 69 of Stephen Morgan down pit road in the Dunne Jewelers machine. Johnny Williams also sitting in pit road right now, and his number 9 machine gets it rolling there back onto the racetrack. I wouldn't call Tristan Maher a surprise winner by any means. He's a driver we expect to go out and contend and win races, but he is winless in 2023, which is something, again, talk about Bill being winless this season. Tristan's another driver. I've been very surprised that he hasn't picked up a win yet this season. Would love to make tonight the night. The number 5 of Bill Edwards is down pit row now. We see his strategy. Gonna do the short pit, try and get the fresher tires on track quicker. See if that'll allow him to get around Philip Scott. And Bill's in a position now, he might need to do that contrarian strategy. So I like the call from Bill Edwards. We will see what comes of that.
If you're Philip Scott right now, I think you're paying attention to what Bill did, and if your crew chief is saying, let's pit now, let's put ourselves on the same strategy, because even if a yellow came out, you're both going to be trapped on the same lap. You'll be fine. I think a lot more is to be lost by staying out on track than to be gained. So I expect to see the 99 hitting pit road shortly, even if it's not his strategy right now, Mitchell, because you want to win the race, sure, but the championship's more important. Why let Bill get out there for multiple laps on fresh tires and start closing that gap of distance before you pit? So we'll see what happens. Here comes the 75 of Chuck Sweeting down the pit road for his scheduled pit stop, and these guys should be able to make it to the end from here, I believe, Mitchell, if my math is correct.
It should definitely be close, and I do believe they'll be able to get to the end from here. The strategy of late that has worked has been staying out longer. We've seen the new tire advantage over a long run pay dividends, and we've seen races won that way. So I understand why Philip is staying out, but I think you were kind of right, Tristan Maher, race leader down pit road now. You're kind of right here about bringing it down and matching Bill Edwards' strategy. Because you've got to remember, you are racing one guy here, and that is the 5 of Bill Edwards. Your only goal is to beat him tonight, and that will make you the series champion. So yes, this strategy Philip is running right now has worked throughout this season, but it isn't what Bill's doing, and right now you're beating Bill on track. So I completely understand where you're coming from. But at the same time, Garrett, we're racers and we want to win races, and Philip has a very fast car here tonight, and he's running a strategy that could get him his second win of the season. Would love to pick one up, but you're exactly right. He's letting Bill Edwards get laps on fresh tires and potentially close that gap up. Bill is not a guy you want to have even remotely near you.
That's funny, Mitchell. I like the way that sentence ended. Bill's not a guy you want remotely near you. I could echo that sentiment, but no, just in all honesty, maybe Philip Scott figures I want to win this championship with a win, and he's all set out to do that, and he might have the strategy figured out. Like I said, he ran a lot of laps here. He knows exactly what he needs to do, and I think I just have to defer to him on that. But like you talked about, Bill's doing what he needs to do. He's short pitted. He's going to make up time on fresh tires, and when the 99 makes his pit stop, we're going to see. But like you also mentioned, we've seen the fresh tire strategy come into play. These guys who have pitted later have been able to make up the ground, make up the time, and get back past the people who short pitted, which, to be honest, Mitchell, it's kind of rare to see it as often as we have. That usually that pitting late doesn't end up working out. Vincent Valvano talking Giants machine, and Steven Doziak around pit road as well.
Yeah, typically on iRacing, it's that short pit strategy that works, but that hasn't been the case of late here. There is also something to say about maybe you hope Johnny Eckert pits and then you pick up a lap-led bonus point if you're Philip Scott. I don't think he has that yet tonight. Although you did mention, I hadn't even thought about it too, the wanting to win the championship race aspect. I can definitely speak to that one because back in NSRA when I won my championships, one thing that always stuck with me is that I never won that championship race. Both times I won a championship, I really wished I could have closed the deal on that race. So I completely understand Philip Scott's emotions there and wanting to go do that, because I can tell you that that is something you remember looking back on those championships. Man, I could have done this better, and I didn't. But in my opinion, it's still a lot better to call yourself a champion, as he's down now, so he did not pick up the lap-led bonus point. Eckert stays out. And now the question becomes, where does he cycle out in relation to Bill Edwards?
Where does he cycle out? Did he hit his pit box? Did he make any mistakes on pit road speeding? That's something we'll have to keep an eye on. If you're a Philip Scott fan, you hope that Philip was a little bit conservative coming to pit road and just didn't want to make that mistake. You want to lose. If you're going to lose it, you're going to lose it on the track. But here's Bill making laps. Philip stationary on pit road, and we're going to see Mitchell. And then we're going to see about. Oh, there they are. Look at that. They just crossed paths like two ships in the night. So Bill's going to have the advantage. Philip's going to have the fresh tires and not too long of a distance to go. So it looks like the strategy is going to work out for the 99, but we will see.
Yeah, we will see what happens. Again, Johnny Eckert down pit road. DJ Weeks also down pit road. He had yet to make his pit stop. Bill and Jamar Dumas, you see here, have by far the oldest tires of anyone on the racetrack right now. Philip's tires going to be about 10 laps fresher than these two cars you see here. Get around Johnny Eckert also. Jason Gracias is back down pit road now in that number 1 machine. Philip here is going to be faster. Ooh, things got tight with Johnny Eckert there. But Philip, you see the speed. He's got so much more speed than Dumas and Edwards right now, but he's got to be smart about how he uses it here. Bill's going to go down, pinch him off this corner, try and hold him back, because if you're Bill Edwards, not that there's a whole lot it looks like you can do here. Oh, Stephen Morgan spinning down into the infield. Will we get a caution for this one? He gets it locked up off the racing surface. I don't think there will be one for that because he's below that white line. And now Philip Scott is around Bill Edwards, and if you're Bill, that might have been your shot at a championship, and you might have just seen the best chance at a caution flag go by without one there. Because now Philip's on fresher tires, and we've seen the pace he's had. So that was one, I think, not that Bill could have done anything there, but that's one you really needed to keep him behind you somehow, some way. And it's just not working out with the way the strategies fell.
That was the chance, I think, Mitchell. You said it exactly right for the yellow that maybe some of these guys wanted, needed. I don't know if Philip Scott wanted the yellow there. He might breathe a sigh of relief, but that was something. I felt like my life was flashing before my eyes seeing Stephen Morgan and the Nate Jewelers machine spin off track there. But man, that was something. That would have changed everything. And now these guys are gonna I guess some people are probably still hoping for yellow, but if you're Philip Scott right now, you're just hoping these laps click quickly, and you can just look forward to celebrating the championship.
Right now, as they run, Philip Scott 26 laps away from being a TNR champion. Bill Edwards looking to do anything to take that away from him, but at this point, he needs a caution. If he wants to win the championship, he's got to not only get around Philip Scott, but Philip needs to lose quite a bit of track position if Bill's going to be champion here tonight. The gap at the stage was 8 points between these two, which I believe equates to Bill needing to finish 8 points in front of Philip.
3 positions. It was 3 positions, so every position I believe is 3 points based on our point standings. So you need to make up 3 positions. I believe that's the simple math on it.
This is why I have you in the booth for color commentary. You know better than I do. And that is something that's much more doable than 8 positions. So Bill definitely likes that math better. But you've got to get the caution, and that's what we're going to see. About 25 laps to go, 24 to go in this one. Chuck Sweeting, your race leader, I guess we cannot forget about the race lead. Chuck Sweeting has checked out to a 3-second lead over Tristan Maher now. It looked like Maher, for a bit there, had the edge, but Sweeting has just pulled away now. He, again, being a non-playoff driver, would pick up that bridesmaid bonus and win the $5 bonus for being a non-playoff driver who wins the race. He's already done that once in the postseason, would love to do it again here on another 1.5 miles. He did it at Texas. Sweeting looking dominant once again here tonight. Another driver who, if he comes back next season, is looking to be a real contender for the championship.
Yeah, I think we could certainly pencil him in to make the chase if he shows up next year. He's been impressive, and the fact that he's pulled away for such big of a gap here on the 17 of Tristan Maher is really something, because these guys were neck and neck battling it out for a while, and Chuck is just, he's one of the, I think consistency is the most impressive thing that some of these guys have. They're fast, but they're also just consistent. They don't make mistakes, and I think that's a veteran thing too. Like, a lot of us have raced for a long time, but I know Chuck's one of the older members of our league. He's been racing even longer than we have, and you learn from your mistakes. You get better and better, and I think that's what we're seeing with the domination of the 75 since he's come into our league.
I think now is a good time to look through the field so you know where your favorite driver's running as we get toward the end of this one. Chuck Sweeting in the race lead, like we talked about. Tristan Maher running in second place, 3 seconds behind him. 7 seconds behind Sweeting is the 90 of Johnny Eckert, who has a 3-second lead over Philip Scott in fourth. Then Bill Edwards runs in fifth, now 6 seconds behind Philip Scott. Again, really needing a caution to stay in this championship hunt. The 97 of DJ Weeks runs in the 6th position. Jamar Dumas in 7th. Vincent Valvano, the Talkin' Giants machine, in 8th. Bob Giaquinto in 9th. Steven Doziak rounding out your top 10 and rounding out the lead lap cars. Then in 11th, it's Mike Floppy Tellier. And they are the only 11 drivers on the field right now. Johnny Williams in the garage, so is Stephen Morgan and Jason Gracias. All those drivers have retired early from this race.
It's a shame. Look at, speaking of, we're talking about positions. I always think of Doze, Doze's girlfriend. There's Doze here holding that steady wheel again. And I don't know why he wants so much camera time, but we certainly appreciate him doing it. I think everybody's just told him how attractive he is his whole life, and now he just wants to be on camera all the time like he's famous, like his ex-girlfriend. But whatever, Mitchell. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice feature, and I hope more guys will jump on to the onboard camera, and we can see a little bit of a different setup that everybody has, the way they hold the wheel and that sort of thing, because it's interesting. All sorts of camera things. We show people how they do it. If they want to join us, here's the type of setup you need. We can put you on camera, get your sponsor on camera. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and those races with, I think I could tell. Let's actually pull the camera back up just so I can double check. It looks like he's running with a Formula 1 style wheel, IndyCar style wheel here. Not rounded all the way around. It's kind of, yeah, that Formula 1 look. I'd imagine, I've never used one. I always thought that would feel a little bit weird when you're racing a NASCAR, but driver preference, all the power to it. I don't think that's something I could do and just process my mind using an F1 wheel on a NASCAR. But to each his own. There's, again, a reason I'm in the booth and not down on track.
What's the reason, Mitchell? You're a pretty good driver. I think you're selling yourself a little bit short. You're in the booth because you're good at this, and I mean, I think this is another way to keep active in the iRacing thing. But let's not fool anybody, Mitchell. You're a championship caliber race car driver, much like our friend Chuck Sweeting, who's out here leading here at Vegas.
I appreciate the flattery. Always good to boost my ego. Yeah, Chuck Sweeting's been run down slightly by Tristan Maher, but it's not by much. Maher now sits 2.8 seconds back behind Sweeting, which is closer than the 3.2 he was when we last checked, but he's got to be running him down a lot quicker than that. 15 laps to go for Maher. Johnny Eckert is making up time very quickly, now 4 seconds behind your leaders. Eckert did the stay out longer strategy. He's got 10 lap fresher tires than Sweeting and about 9 lap fresher tires than Maher. It's a little less than that, but this is a strategy, again, never had I seen the stay out long on tire strategy work until this season of TNR, and then it always seems to give this massive advantage. They must have changed something in the tire model that these drivers have picked up on, because right now Johnny Eckert, and then scoring corrects, and all of a sudden he's no longer 4 seconds back, he's 8 seconds back, and then he crosses the line again and he's 4 seconds back. Sim Racing Apps is playing a little bit of a trick on me. I don't know how far back he is, but I can tell you he's 2 seconds behind Tristan Maher. That I do know. How far Tristan Maher is behind Chuck Sweeting, I guess I don't. But either way, this 90 very fast right now.
Yeah, he's very fast, and it's incredible the difference that these late pitting fresh tire strategies have had, especially later in our season. You said maybe it was a tire model change, but these guys have all adapted, because this used to be a losing strategy from the time I started racing iRacing up until recently. So I think Johnny's gonna be able to get to the 17 of Tristan Maher, but I think he's gonna need some help to get to Chuck with closing in on 10 laps to go.
Yeah, he's just about a second now behind Tristan Maher, a little less than that. You can really start to see that 17 getting bigger out the front windshield. You see he's right there. But the issue, like you talked about, there's that little dot up ahead of them. That's the 75 of Chuck Sweeting. I don't think there's enough time with 11 laps to go for Eckert to run down Sweeting. So he might be another driver wanting a caution. Again, to check in on the battle for the championship, Philip Scott has checked out 10 seconds now on Bill Edwards. Bill doing the best he can, but just there's only so much you can do when you get behind track position-wise in a race like this that runs green. And right now, Bill, I think combined with that little bit of right side damage, he's fallen 10 seconds behind Philip. So at this point, we can safely say that Bill needs a caution.
Caution, a miracle, a divine intervention. Yeah, Bill needs some help. Coming off a little bit short on this championship, but it's not over till it's over, as Yogi Berra would say. And I think Bill actually played Little League with Yogi Berra, but that's the story for another day. But just we'll see what happens here. And I'm not counting Bill out yet, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it is not over until Philip Scott's car is in the championship victory lane. You got to keep racing. You got to keep putting down fantastic laps, and that's what you have to hope to do if you're Bill Edwards. Philip Scott sits comfortably right now in between Johnny Eckert and DJ Weeks. It's about 4 to 5 seconds both ways. So he's in a really nice bubble on the racetrack, where as long as he doesn't slip up, that 99 should be safe here. Check in again. Tristan Maher, he's holding Johnny Eckert back now. That gap is kind of stabilizing. Eckert not running him down with the pace he had earlier on. And some of that probably comes down to Eckert having to push really hard to catch up to the 17. Now he's finally got there, but those tires are so heated up that he's struggling to just finish it off and make that pass.
Yeah, strategy leveled out there. We thought he was going to make quick, well, at least I thought. I'll take the blame on this. I thought he was going to be able to get to that 17, make quick work of him on those fresher tires, but used up his stuff, tires equalizing, and Tristan just doing a good job. I think the battle for second was more hype than anything. But we'll see if Johnny cools his tires off, makes another run at him. But if you're Chuck Sweeting, you really don't have a care in the world out there with that big lead, and the rest of these guys, other than Philip Scott, I think you're just ready for the season to end and be on to the next one. But man, we had some incredible racing, some incredible finishes, and I'm getting a little bit emotional thinking about the season ending, Mitchell.
It has been a fantastic season. We've had a lot of different drivers get into victory lanes, some new drivers, some old drivers, and we've had a fantastic season. All race-long races and tracks we wouldn't normally expect to put on great finishes have been some of the better ones of the year. I point to the Indianapolis road course as a prime example of that. But it has been a great season, and right now Chuck Sweeting trying to put a little bit of an asterisk on this one as being so close to getting into victory lane now, I believe twice for Sweeting. But he's been up front so many times, he's going to leave everyone wondering, well, what can he do next season? And I think we're all looking forward to seeing what that is, as he has now 4 laps to go when he crosses the line this time before he picks up the win here tonight. And again, 4 laps for Philip Scott in the World Ninja League Ford from becoming the 2023 Series champion and winning his first Series championship. And what a run it's been for Philip Scott. You and I have talked about him quite a bit, Garrett, how much he's matured and how much better his racecraft has gotten throughout the last couple seasons. And we've seen that come to fruition this season. And he's put together a lot of great, consistent runs. He picked up the win at the Indy Road Course. And tonight, again, you love to win the championship race. But it's been a great season for Philip Scott. So even though he's not looking like he's going to win tonight, you got to really keep your head held high, because certainly he ran a championship caliber season.
He did. He's learned. He's gotten better. And like you said, the maturity is what's made the difference. I think, Mitchell, when he got wrecked for the win at, I believe it was Phoenix by Floppy, that could have spiraled the old Philip out of control. He could have started being more aggressive, making mistakes. But no, he took it in stride. He learned. He got better every single week, and he did not beat himself once this season. So coming to the checkered flag on the season, Philip, yeah, he'd love to win this race, but win this championship is very important. He's earned it. And, you know, if Bill Edwards would have won the championship, he would have earned it as well. But I got to say, Philip, the maturity has made a difference. I couldn't be more proud of him as we're closing in on it here, but
I could keep listing off names. I couldn't even count on one hand how many drivers here have run a championship caliber season. That's how difficult it is to do. But the white flag is in the air one more time around Las Vegas for Philip Scott before he etches his name into the history books as a TNR Grand National Series champion. Turn our cameras over to the 75 of Chuck Sweeting, who comes out of turn number 4. He is going to pick up the win here tonight, his second of the season. Another great performance for Sweeting. But here out of turn 4, and now a TNR champion, Philip Scott. A 4th place here tonight, but a 1st place in the championship standings. Congratulations, Philip Scott. He is your 2023 champion.
really, congratulations to Chuck on the win, Philip for the championship, and just everybody from first to last, from point standings to on track for a tremendous season. Everybody was just tremendous, and I have no complaints about anyone, and I hope everyone comes back for another season. But it's all about tonight. It's about Chuck celebrating his win, getting the momentum into hopefully his first full TNR season, and Philip Scott with paying off all that maturity and everything he's learned with the championship. So burn it down, guys. You both earned it.
It's Philip Scott letting Chuck Sweeting do his burnouts here after winning the race. We would assume Philip gonna take his moment now as Sweeting drives away. We're gonna let him burn it down here. A great season for Philip Scott, and picks up his first championship once again tonight. Just a fantastic run for Philip. Did exactly what he needed to do, and he's gonna walk out of here a series champion, which is what everybody in this league wanted to do this season, but only Philip gets to say he's the 2023 champion, and that's something no one, like I talked about, can ever take away, no matter what bad runs he has. He is a TNR champion.
TNR champion, and next week I'll get Jeff Wyatt to start making him his TNR trophy. I saw some guys got theirs for seasons past today, and they're pretty cool looking things, and something he could put on display, knowing that he's earned it, a proud moment. And look at it, I don't know if Philip's a ninja, so he could probably climb this fence pretty easy and get that flag off the flag person. So we'll see if he ends up doing that. In real life, he probably would, Mitchell, but let's be honest, he can't actually do that in the sim.
It'd be really cool if you can do that in the sim. Hop out of the car. Burned it down so hard he just blew the engine up at Las Vegas. And I don't think that team's going to mind rebuilding that engine in the offseason after that car brought home a championship here today. We're going to get some post-race interviews lined up. First, we will talk with our top three like we always do, but then we will talk to championship winner Philip Scott, and we'll see too, maybe Bill will stick around. We can talk with him as well here. But first, I believe we got to get our interviews lined up, but in just a moment, Garrett Gleason, I believe, went down and caught up with Johnny Eckert. Let me get Johnny in here. I got to get all my stuff in order. I'm giving him plenty of time to go run down in here. All right, Garrett, I think gave you enough time. You ran down to pit road. You find Johnny yet?
I found Johnny here in the pits. Johnny had a lot of speed this season. You certainly contended for wins. You had wins tonight. Seemed like you had a lot of speed there in the first stage. Didn't come away with the win here at the end. What do you think you could have done a little differently to come have a win here at the last race of the year?
Yeah, I mean, the first stage, it was pretty much figuring out what I needed to do. I had a bit of wear, and right front was overheated. I figured out what I wanted to do in the second half of the race. So early on, I wasn't going to fight them. I figured it was just smarter to just protect my tires and let those two beat the crap out of their tires. But yeah, I was starting to reel them in a little bit at the end of the before they pitted. I got to within, like, I think it was about a second. But you know, I was in good shape, and then the strategy was that I had was pretty good too. Except it just, when I got to Thuggy, just with the cold temps and all the tape on the nose, the aero push just became ridiculous, and I got within a second of him, and it just started pushing, and I chipped into that 1 second, little by little, and then I got to point four back, and completely stalled out, and I had, I don't know, like 5-6 lap pressure tires, and he did, but I could not do anything. Right front was absolutely overheated, but yeah, I think if they were together still and they were racing each other or closer, maybe I would have had a chance at it. But just couldn't break through that aero push.
Well, certainly nothing to be ashamed of finishing third. This was your debut season here at TNR. We thought we mistook you for another Johnny Eckert earlier in the year. Now we know who you are. You've won races here. Are we going to have you and the Outlaw Racing crew back next season?
I have no idea what our plans are yet, but yeah, we'll figure it out when the time comes. I'm not sure. I have absolutely all the leagues that I'm in end in the next couple weeks, and I'm like looking at like a clean slate for like a month or so, or whatever, that few weeks, whatever it might be, just to wind down a little bit. So I'm not sure. We'll see.
Well, we'll certainly. I'm gonna take that as a maybe, Mitchell. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but we'll see if Johnny shows up again next season with us. But congratulations on third place. Before I let you go, if you'd like to give a shout out to your teammates and sponsors, the floor is yours. And I just want to say, from a league administrator perspective, it was a pleasure having you in TNR, and I hope to have you back.
I appreciate it. Well, first off, thank you and the rest of the admins for all that you guys do. I had fun time this season. Thanks to the broadcast, to everybody who supports the league and helps put on the show. Congrats to the champion. Unfortunately, I really thought I was gonna have a chance to race for it, but got back from watching the Monday Dover race at 9:30, an hour and a half after the race started. So, yeah, definitely a little disappointed I wasn't able to race for it, but race for the championship kind of changed my approach today too. But yeah, so thanks to all the sponsors. Thanks to DJ Weeks for keeping me focused today and helped me out as much as he did. Thanks to Jake Bustos also for getting me here and then making plans tonight. So appreciate all he did for tonight's race. And yeah, you know, sucks that the Texas race happened. I know. I know people think that I manipulated the race and manipulated the championship by wrecking myself, but it would have been nice to race to the championship, and it just wasn't meant to be. So thanks to you guys, and we'll be around.
Yeah, you'll definitely be around. And next time there's a monsoon at Homestead, Miami, I look forward to being out there with you.
Man, I tell you, I gotta go get an umbrella or something and just go Mary Poppins my way out of there.
All right, take care, man. I'm going to throw this
Thanks.
down to Mitchell Adams, who is caught up with my good friend and routinely second place finisher, Tristan Thuggy Maher.
Yep. Second place here tonight, Tristan. We heard from Johnny. It looked to be a little bit of a tough track condition out there, but you certainly were up in contention there tonight. Just in the end, Chuck Sweeting got a little bit away from you, but got to be happy with second place.
Yeah, I mean, no one's ever super excited with second place, but I'm just glad to have a decent finish this season. It's been a pretty rough season for your boy over here. Yeah, I kind of screwed myself after the last pit stop. I did what Thuggy does and half spun on cold tires, and I lost about 3 seconds to Chuck there. I think that was the deciding factor. Me and Chuck had pretty similar pace as far as long run speed and stuff like that. So I wish I wouldn't have done that. I think it would have been a good fight to the end.
You talk about this year not quite being the season you want to have. I know you have that incident, but how does a good second place finish like this help you build going into the off season and into next year?
I think it's good. I'm glad to end it off with a good finish. Keep the off season spirits high, and just know that I fought and battled with Chuck, who has a little bit over 4K I rating, so I'm pretty happy with that. Just a little self motivation, knowing that I can be better, so it feels good.
I guess I made the assumption in my last question. Maybe I shouldn't have, but can we expect to see you back in TNR next season? You plan on racing again?
Yeah, for sure. TNR is definitely my main league here. It's the one that is more near and dear to my heart. Ever since I started iRacing, basically, this was my first league. This was my first league, and I've raced here ever since, and it's always a good time. And the people who run the league are really nice people, and they have good hearts and stuff. So, except for Garrett,
I couldn't agree more. Let's move on.
Yeah, again, a big congratulations on second place here today. I'll give you the chance to give some shout outs here before we let you go wrap up your night and your season.
Gonna shout out Radius Racing. It is the team I race for most of the time. Shout out TNR, Total Nonstop Racing, obviously. If anybody who's watching this is interested in getting getting into this league and taking a part of some of these races, then look us up on Facebook or Discord, and we can get you going. Obviously, you guys up here in the booth for doing what you do and making the races more entertaining. You, Mitchell, especially for being the owner of WRN and stuff like that. And that's all I got.
Thanks again for taking some time to stop by and talk with us. Hope you have a great night, a great off season, and we look forward to seeing what you can do in the next season.
Thank you very much.
Tristan Maher, your second place finisher here tonight. Now, Garrett Gleason gets the honor and the privilege with talking with the driver who ran away with tonight's race win, Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, Mitchell, down here in Victory Lane with Chuck Sweeting. What's that, the second time? I'm getting sick of you winning, Chuck, to be honest with you. No, great run tonight. You finished third in stage one. Did you think you were a contender for the win after your third place in stage one?
I thought maybe I had a shot of it at it if I could have got in some clean air, and that's why I pitted a little bit short there to get out in that clean air, and it worked out for me. But if I'd have been in dirty air, been following Tristan, then no, I don't think I could have ever passed him. It was just get too aero tight behind him and wear out that right front, and it was all I could do to stay with him.
Well, you guys had a tremendous battle there. We were having so much fun watching you from the broadcast, and we have no race to talk about next week because we're going to go on break here till our next season. But this was your debut in TNR. You've been with us for a couple weeks. Just wanted to get your general thoughts on the league. Have you enjoyed running here? Because we've certainly enjoyed having you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of clean, respectful driving, good, green flag races, which is hard to find leagues like that. So yeah, I'm thrilled. I can't wait for the next season to come around and get back at it. Maybe go for a championship.
Yeah, actually, you were Mitchell Adams' pick for a championship contender for next season. I think the cat's out of the bag that you're pretty fast and you're going to be a contender. So I hope you can handle that pressure because Mitchell carries a lot of weight when he speaks his opinion.
Well, I'm not going to count it as pressure. At my age, you just let things roll off and take each race as it comes. And they're all tough and things can happen. You can have a good week and a bad week and it not be any fault of your own. So we'll see how the season goes. But I'm definitely going to go for it. Put the effort in every week, and we'll see where we're at come the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard Tristan's interview, but he said just racing against somebody like you just makes him better. And I think from a league perspective, we like having guys with your skill set here because you make people better. You make people want to practice and become better race car drivers. So I'm certainly grateful. So congratulations on the win. I'm going to give you the floor now. You want to thank any of your sponsors and just sincerely, we appreciate having you. And I look forward to racing with you next year.
Well, just thanks to the league, all the admins, you guys at World Racing Network. The whole thing has just been a pleasure, and I'm really, really looking forward to continuing this relationship with the league, and I can't wait for the next season to start. So just thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the drivers for the respect and the clean racing, because that's the main thing. Just having fun each week, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to some more of it.
Well, we look forward to having you. Enjoy maybe a month or so off, and we'll see you back for 2023B.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, Mitchell, I don't know if you're going to interview our champion or our runner-up now, so I don't know where to throw it. Are we having a pity party in the Bill Edwards pit, or are we going to have about a 10-minute interview with a pumped-up Ninja Phil?
I figured it would be good to talk with Bill Edwards here. Bill, we talked about you and Philip all night long, and it was going to be you or him walking out of here with the championship. Unfortunately, I came up a little bit short. I know it can't feel great, but still, you've had a great season, and you put up a great fight here tonight.
Yeah, I had a good season. I figured I'd try to make it work for it a little bit. I was having a pretty strong run. I think it was somewhere in the lap 40s, somewhere in there. I just had a brain fart and scrubbed the wall a little bit, and my pace was gone after that. So couldn't keep the tires under it, couldn't do nothing. So I was losing about a tenth on the straights, it felt like. So, but it was hard racing, and tried to make it work for it, at least in the beginning.
Certainly, I mean, you beat him in the first stage. You put up a great fight here, but just this season as a whole, we've seen the level of competition be so high, and you've been contending so consistently. There were a couple of races there I thought you'd win, and one thing happened to another, but looking back on this season, what are you going to remember 2023A? Are you going to think positively looking back on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is another one. I'm proud of my season. I mean, we had tons of races that didn't even have a yellow flag or anything, and it was still I was consistent enough to pull in top fives, top tens, and stay out of the wrecks and still pull off a decent season. So, I'm happy with it. Congrats to Philip. He definitely he had it. The win got him there, and then he was able to keep it throughout the playoffs. So, it was a blast. So it was a fun year, that's for sure.
Can we expect to see that Fatal Concepts machine back on track next season?
Oh yeah, and hopefully with a dub.
Looking forward to seeing you try and get that done. Before I let you go, Bill, give you a chance to give any shout outs you'd like to. Promo tonight's race sponsor, Fatal Concepts, if you want. Go crazy.
Oh yeah. The big one is my mom, my number one fan. We were talking before the race, and it was pretty entertaining. She instantly said, "So is it payback day?" And I just did LOL, the thumbs up, and that was it. But that was not going to go on wreck Philip or anything. But it was fun talking about it. Then I got to give a shout out to you guys up in the booth, WRN. You guys did an awesome job. Garrett for putting this league on, the whole TNR, all the drivers, everybody that assists with this. And it's been a great year, and got to give a shout out to S2R, my teammates, and yeah, that's about it.
Mitchell, let me just chime in here real quick, and on a serious note, Bill, just appreciate you from helping as an administrator. Your opinion is valuable. I know you've helped guys on track. You paint things when guys need paint schemes immediately. You do a fantastic job. It's a heartbreaker to see you finish second in the championship, but I'm certainly grateful to have you here, and I know you're gonna get that W next season. You're gonna maybe contend for another championship because you are consistent. And if we go trophy truck racing in the next couple of weeks with Mike, I know you're going to be a contender for that championship as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what we do for sure. Trophy trucks, I enjoy the trophy trucks. That's my favorite thing on iRacing. So if we can do that, I would be tickled pink. That's for sure.
Well, you're an administrator. Get with Mike and make that happen. But congratulations on your runner-up, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again soon for some reason or another. And it's probably not going to be something stupid on the track. You'll probably actually be achieving something, so that's great.
Yeah, it'd be nice to achieve something.
Like, that's a fantastic note for Garrett Gleason to go switch over. Garrett, I know you're probably going to enjoy this interview a whole lot. Garrett Gleason gets to chat with our series champion, Philip Scott.
Start the timer now, Mitchell. He's going to have us here all night. But congratulations, Philip. I could not be more proud of you, and even better at Bill's expense. But you're TNR champion, bud. How does it feel?
Man, it hasn't quite sunk in. I've worked at this for a long time, as you know. I've only really been on iRacing competitively. I mean, I've been on iRacing for a few years, but I didn't really start taking it seriously until about 3 years ago when less than 3 years ago when I stumbled upon a little Watkins Glen recruitment race with the ARCA cars, and I'm like, oh, this sounds like my kind of gig. And yeah, that's kind of what led me here.
Well, I could not be more thrilled that we have you as part of our league, and I know you've had moments in TNR and SRA where maybe you've overreacted, quit races, and beat yourself. And maturity, we always quit. We never questioned your talent. We never questioned your ability to win races. But it was always, will the mental game get it? Where guys just do something stupid and frustrate you, and you take yourself out of it. What changed for you this season? I mean, you had every reason to be upset what happened to Phoenix, and you didn't let that beat you. What was your mindset? Like, how did you become almost a improved version of yourself?
Yeah, I think just all the lessons I've learned over time, they kind of just stacked up. I started to just, like you said, mature more as a driver. I'm, I'm still relatively young. I'm not like, an angry boomer on here. So I do sometimes my emotions do get the best of me, and yeah, the the race with Mike at the beginning of the season. Obviously, we had incidents in the past, and I kind of figured he was going to go for a big move. So honestly, I really wasn't mad. Uh, I I was expecting it, but it's just like that. I was just like, all right, I'll just beat him and everyone else outright on pace. Uh, be mature, be smart, and paid off.
Well, you've had a season that has paid off, a very successful season, ending with a championship. If there's one thing you could do differently this season, saying and you keep your championship, what would it be? Was there something that got away? Was it that race at Phoenix? What would be that one thing you'd change?
Honestly, I'm not sure if it's a butterfly effect. You don't know if I would say the race at Phoenix, but you never know if that would have kind of made me want this less. You never know, because I think I probably wanted this championship more than anybody, and like I was like a pretty nervous wreck for these playoff races, like before at the start of each one, and because I knew that I had a good shot finally, and yeah, I think maybe the one thing I just wanted to win at an oval in general, but I'm glad that I won because that was a big monkey on my back for a long time, and I'm glad that I can like win a race this season, and in the case of like NSRA or elsewhere, like I can win pretty frequently. Like last season NSRA, I ended up with like I finished like second in the points, had 3 wins, and I had 3 wins in the old Xfinity series there, one here in this series last year, and one again this year. Even if it's all on road courses, but still, yeah, I just want to get a little better at ovals. I'm getting that up.
Yeah, you're certainly have improved, and not that you had that much room to grow, but you've grown as a person, a race car driver. You've improved as a race car driver, and I'm sure this isn't your only championship you're going to have. I know you're going to keep racking up the wins, racking up the championships. But before we let you go to celebrate, because I could tell you're a little bit subdued, it hasn't sunk in yet. Just want to give you time to shout out your sponsors, and I know we're going to see you back next year. I'm not even going to ask you that next. I keep saying next year, guys. It's not going to be a year. It's going to be just a couple of weeks. We're going to start a new season. But before I let you go, please shout out your sponsors, and if you have to, congratulate anybody that's helped you on this journey to get to this championship.
Yeah, thanks to obviously World Ninja League, worldninjaleague.org. Check us out. We got some big ol' events coming up. So yeah, check us out. And who else? Obviously, shout out to you for making this league, and Mitchell for broadcasting. Everybody that's been a part of this league in general. I've had a lot of great guys that race here. Like even people that I butted heads with before, like Floppy and everybody. Like me and Floppy still respect the hell out of each other. Good hard racers, and everybody in Tristan. I know me and him always battle. We're always super even. So yeah, he didn't have quite a lucky season this year, but I think the Michigan boys are gonna give everyone a run for their money next year if we're going to Gen 4. Hopefully.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna go to Gen 4. You win the championship. That's what you want. I think we'll give that to you. We'll go Gen 4 racing next year. And I like the phrase "the Michigan boys." That's something that I could certainly live with as a Michigan football fan. So, Philip, congratulations on a great season, a great championship win, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. And please get a good picture of your race car and send it to Jeff Wyatt so I get your trophy made.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man.
Well, Garrett, that about wraps it up here from Las Vegas. It was, again, big congratulations to Philip Scott. He wins his first series championship, a very well-deserved championship for Philip Scott. And he put on the race he needed to put on. Couldn't have done anything better. And he's walking out of here with a championship. And like you could tell, it hadn't quite sunk in yet that he's a TNR champion now. It might take a little bit, because that's a lot to process. It's a lot to work for, and just big congratulations to Philip. Well-deserved championship.
Yeah, well deserved. And Philip and I talking in our direct messages now and then, and it's always that, hey, you know, Garrett, I'm working at this. I want to do better. I ran 200 laps. I've tried this. I've tried that. I figured this lane out. He's a guy that put in the work to be the champion. He didn't luck into this, and I mean, yeah, you get lucky throughout the season, but he worked, and that's what he does. I mean, I've seen his Ninja Warrior videos. The guy is a worker. He is going to keep getting better and better at this, and I think that's a problem for everybody else in the field, because the talent is there. Now that his head has followed, he's dangerous, and I guess ninjas are dangerous, Mitchell. That's one thing that we could both agree on.
And what did you say? Something around 200 laps he'd put in here to get ready?
Yep.
Just a lot of work. I'm very glad that paid off for Philip Scott. We'll take you through tonight's finishing order here. The final finishing order of this season we get to go through together. Chuck Sweeting picks up the race win, his second. He is certainly, with him saying he's going to come back, that is a force to be reckoned with next season. Drivers going to have to watch out for Chuck Sweeting. Tristan Maher finishes in the second position. Johnny Eckert in third. Philip Scott, your series champion, ends up in fourth place here tonight. DJ Weeks picks up a top 5. Bill Edwards, the other championship contender, finishes in 6th place. Jamar Dumas in 7th. Bob Giaquinto in 8th. Vincent Valvano 9th. And Steven Doziak Jr., the last car on the lead lap here, finishes in 10th position. 11th, Mike Floppy Tellier, 2 laps down. And then the cars who did not finish the race tonight: Johnny Williams, Stephen Morgan, and Jason Gracias. And with that about does us for this 2022A season. Very glad to hear for the fans and everyone that watches TNR that not too long an off season before drivers are going to be doing it again. I'm sure you all at TNR are going to have stuff to announce in the off season, so make sure you follow the Total Nonstop Racing League. I believe you guys are at TNR_online, if memory serves me right.
Yeah, that sounds right for our Twitter handle. And Mitchell, before we go, just thank you for everything in the World Racing Network. This has been a tremendous experience and so much fun being in the booth with you. And I'm sure we'll do it again someday, if not next season of TNR in the future. But we'll figure all that out when the time comes. But appreciate you, bud. You've been great.
Yeah, and I guess on a personal note here, too, before we go off the air for this season, again, I want to say a big thank you to you guys at TNR for allowing the World Racing Network to come on board this season when I know 3Wide TV wasn't able to with some conflicts. I've really enjoyed this season. I don't know exactly what the World Racing Network schedule is looking like, because I'm about to go to college in a few months, so we will see, you know, what exactly that looks like for us. I would love to do this again, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I'm going to have a lot to worry about, but I really appreciate you all allowing me to come in here and do this that I absolutely love, and I never would have known I wanted to go and major in sports broadcasting if it wasn't for getting to do things like this. So I really appreciate you all at TNR and everyone who tunes in every week. It's been a ton of fun getting to hang out with you all, and that about wraps us up. Like I said, go through the sponsors. I cannot forget the lovely sponsors we have before we go off the air here. Schue's Lawn Service. Again, we could not do this without Jason Schue. I wish he could have been in the field here tonight, but he wasn't. And then Tabletop Trio, you see him here, the Lucky Dog Award this season. Make sure to go follow them on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tabletop Trio. You won't want to miss them. Stay Tuned Sports. I'm trying to think off the top of my head the other great sponsors we've had. Fatal Concepts here tonight. I can't forget them. The Fatal Concepts 150. We've had a lot of great people. We've had Dunne Jewelers come on board for some races, especially lately here. It's been, Garrett, the amount of sponsorship that TNR has gotten this season has been really phenomenal. And from a broadcaster's perspective, we get to see that. There's a ton of love and a ton of support for this league, and it's something you want to be a part of if you're a driver out there or a sponsor potentially. It's a great community to come and be a part of here at TNR.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate everyone from the title sponsor to the guys that just end up taking $10, $15 out of their pocket and sponsoring a race so we can put on the broadcast. It's a team effort, and it just, from, like I said, I could go on for days, but appreciate it, everyone that's been a part of this, from Jason, especially Jason Schue, our title sponsor. He couldn't be there tonight. He's working on his real life race car because that's what he does. He's a race car driver. So Schue, we missed you tonight, bud, but I appreciate everything you do for the league.
And again, we would like to thank you all for tuning in this season. Make sure you go follow the Total Nonstop Racing League on Facebook and Twitter to get some updates about the upcoming season. You won't want to miss that. Make sure you tune back in. For all of us at the World Racing Network, my broadcast partner Garrett Gleason, myself, Mitchell Adams, I want to thank you all again for tuning in throughout this season. And until I see you next time, we hope you stay safe, have fun, and we'll be seeing you.